What happens to a relationship when the honeymoon is officially over? When the butterflies have settled, the cameras have moved on, and real life walks through the front door. That's the moment people call the 7-year itch. And in Hollywood, where everything moves faster and burns brighter, most couples don't make it past that moment. But some do. And this list is proof that forever isn't a fairy tale. So stay with us until number 1, because that couple is genuinely going to surprise you. Number 10. Will Smith and Jada Pinkett Smith. Say what you want about the headlines, but this couple has been married since 1997 and they're still together. Early on, the scrutiny was relentless. Their relationship started while Will was still legally married to someone else, and the public never let them forget it. They could have crumbled under that weight. Instead, they made a decision that almost every couple on this list makes at some point. They chose privacy over performance. Jada has said openly that they stopped trying to have a normal marriage and started building something that actually worked for them. That's not a scandal. That's two people refusing to let outside noise define what happens inside their home. Whatever your opinion on them, 20 plus years is 20 plus years. Moving on to number 9, Tim McGraw and Faith Hill. These two met on tour in 1996, fell in love while literally making music together, and have been inseparable ever since. Country music is a grind. Touring seasons are long, time apart is constant, and the industry pressure is relentless. But Tim and Faith turned their shared passion into a love language. They've toured together, recorded together, and shown up for each other in the most public ways possible. Not for the cameras, but because that creative partnership is genuinely the foundation they built on. When your partner is also your collaborator, you don't drift apart during the hard stretches. You create your way through them. That's a blueprint a lot of couples overlook. Number 8, Beyoncé and Jay-Z. Nobody needs a recap of 2016. Lemonade came out, the world held its breath, and everyone assumed they knew exactly what was going to happen next. They didn't. What happened instead was that two people, at the absolute peak of their fame, chose to do the hard work instead of the easy exit. They went to therapy. They wrote music about it. They came back to each other. When Beyoncé performed at Coachella in 2018, Jay-Z was backstage with their daughter. That image said more than any interview ever could. A rough patch doesn't have to be the end of the story. For them, it became the chapter that made everything that followed mean more. Number 7, Kristen Bell and Dax Shepard. Now these two are almost unfairly open about the fact that their marriage takes real effort. Dax has talked casually about his sobriety struggles, about the moments his recovery put strain on their relationship, and about how therapy saved them more than once. Kristen has matched that honesty without flinching. They don't make it look easy because it isn't easy, and they refuse to pretend otherwise. There's something genuinely powerful about two people who are willing to say, we needed help and we got it. No shame, no spin, just results. They've been together since 2007 and they're still solving it out together, which is exactly the point. And we're only halfway through the list and already a pattern is starting to show. But wait until you see number 4. Most people forget about this couple entirely. And that might be exactly why their story is the most inspiring on here. Number 6, Goldie Hawn and Kurt Russell. Here's something worth sitting with. These two have never actually gotten married. They've been together since 1983, raised a family, built careers side by side, and they made that choice on purpose. Goldie has said she believes the fact that they genuinely choose each other every single day without a legal contract forcing them to is part of what keeps the relationship alive. They were close friends long before they were romantic partners. They knew each other's habits, flaws, and rhythms before any of the feelings showed up. When you already know someone that deeply, the shine doesn't fade the same way. There's nothing to be disillusioned by because you never had illusions in the first place. Over 40 years and still going. That's not luck. That's a decision made over and over again. Sliding over to number 5, Sarah Michelle Gellar and Freddie Prinze Jr. Now, they met on the set of I Know What You Did Last Summer in 1997, started dating quietly, and got married in 2002, before either of them had fully figured out what the next chapter of their careers would look like. Hollywood has a way of making that kind of uncertainty eat relationships alive. But it didn't eat theirs. When Sarah stepped back from acting to focus on their family and business ventures, Freddie stepped up at home without it becoming a talking point or attention. When Freddie's career shifted away from leading roles, Sarah was steady beside him. Neither of them turned the other's choice into a crisis. They've talked openly about making their marriage a priority over their individual momentum. And you can hear in how they speak about each other that it wasn't a sacrifice. It was a preference. Over 20 years, 2 kids, and every industry shift in between, they've built something that doesn't need a dramatic story to prove it's real. Number 4, Denzel Washington and Pauletta Pearson. This is the one. Married in 1983, together for decades, and somehow they almost never end up in these conversations. No viral moments, no dramatic public narratives, no Netflix documentary about their love story. Just 2 people who met, chose each other, renewed their vows in South Africa in 1995, with Archbishop Desmond Tutu presiding, and kept going. Denzel once said that his wife deserves credit for holding their family together. During the years his career was consuming everything in its path. He said it plainly, without it being a press moment. That's what makes it land. The couples who stay out of the spotlight often do so because they're actually busy protecting something real. Pauletta isn't famous for being Denzel's wife. She's a concert pianist and an actress in her own right. 2 full people building one lasting thing together, quietly and without needing anyone to applaud them for it. But the stories that close out this list are on a whole nother level. Number 3, David and Victoria Beckham. By the early 2000s, they were arguably the most famous couple on the planet. Then tabloids lit up with rumored affairs. Victoria was photographed looking distant at public events, and the British press spent years writing their ending for them. But it never came. What came instead was a quiet, deliberate rebuilding. They moved countries. They restructured their lives around their family rather than around their image. Victoria has talked about the years when the marriage felt frail, and she's talked about them without polishing the story into something prettier than it was. David has done the same. What's striking is that neither of them framed it as surviving an attack from outside. They framed it as choosing to start again from the inside. After more than 25 years and 4 children, they show up at their kids' events together, and they actually look like they want to be there. That's not performance. That's what work looks like when it pays off. And that brings us to number 2, Chip and Joanna Gaines. You might not think of their first when someone says couples who almost walked away. But in 2018, at the height of their fixer-upper fame, they ended the show completely. No drama, no fallout, just 2 people saying that the pace of what they'd built was pulling them away from each other and their family. And they weren't willing to let that happen. They chose the relationship over the momentum. They stepped back from something that was working professionally because it was costing them personally. Then they built it all again on their own terms, with a media company and a new show that fit their actual life. But the decision that protected it is the part worth paying attention to. And that takes us to number 1, Tom Hanks and Rita Wilson. Married in 1988, no scandals, no dramatic public renegotiations, no tell-all moments. Just 2 people who have shown up for each other through career peaks, through Rita's breast cancer diagnosis in 2015, through their very public medical issue in 2020, and through every ordinary Tuesday in between. Tom has said in interviews that he married his best friend, and that friendship is what everything else rests on. Rita has echoed the same thing. There's no secret framework here, no counterintuitive rule, just consistent, daily, unglamorous choice. That's why they're number 1. Not because their story is the most dramatic, but because it's the most honest version of what lasting love actually looks like. Not a feeling you stumble into, a choice you keep showing up to make. And that's one thing every couple on this list has in common. Not luck, not chemistry, not a perfect start. Every single one of them, at one point, chose the relationship over the easier exit. That's it. That's the whole secret. Now choose another top 10 that you've been wanting to see by clicking on that video that just popped up, and I will see all of you on the next one.